Lyra Vale ran through the glowing corridors of the colony, her heart pounding. The air was thick with smoke and the hum of energy fields. Alarms blared all around, flashing red warnings that the aliens had arrived. She had been studying the strange energy anomalies in the outer research sector when the first wave hit. Now, chaos surrounded her. The colony, usually calm and controlled, had turned into a battlefield. Outside, she could hear the roar of dragons. They had been trained to protect the colony and its inhabitants, and they soared across the sky, attacking the alien ships that swarmed like dark clouds. One of the dragons, a massive creature with shimmering scales and glowing eyes, swooped down to shield her as alien drones fired bright, deadly beams. Lyra ducked behind a piece of fallen metal, watching the dragon breathe fire and charge fearlessly. She had always admired their intelligence and loyalty. But no matter how strong the dragon was, the aliens were overwhelming. A massive beam shot across the plaza, striking the ground near her. Rocks and debris flew everywhere, and Lyra was thrown to the ground. Pain shot through her side, but she forced herself to move. She could hear the dragon above trying to fend off more attackers, but it was clear even the dragons were struggling. Alien machines were too fast, too precise, and too numerous. The colony's defenses, no matter how advanced, were faltering. Lyra crawled to the debris, using her knowledge of the layout to avoid the direct line of fire. She had always been careful, observant, and analytical, traits that now kept her alive. She saw other humans running, shouting, and hiding, but many were already caught in the blast or trapped under fallen structures. The dragons fought bravely, but it was clear they could not protect everyone. A drone hovered above her, scanning the area for life signals. Lyra pressed herself against a half-collapsed wall, holding her breath. The alien technology was precise, capable of detecting even the smallest movement. She closed her eyes and tried to calm her mind. Humans were small and fragile compared to the aliens' machines and firepower, but humans had something else, the ability to think, plan, and adapt. That thought gave her strength. The dragon swooped lower, attempting to shield her again, but an alien ship fired a concentrated energy beam. The dragon roared, but the blast was too powerful. It struck the dragon's wing, and Lyra saw it falter midair before crashing into the plaza with a deafening impact. The dragon groaned in pain, unable to rise. Lyra's chest tightened. Even the dragons, magnificent as they were, could not stop the aliens alone. Her protector had fallen, leaving her exposed. Panic tried to take hold, but Lyra forced it back. She had survived dangerous situations before, and she could survive this one too. Slowly, she crawled toward the collapsed wall of the research lab. She needed cover, space to think, and a way to escape the immediate danger. Every step was careful, calculated, but the aliens were everywhere. Machines flew above, firing beams that scorched the ground, while drones scouted every corner. She paused near a broken console and checked the energy readings. The aliens' attack had disrupted the colony's systems, and communications were down. She couldn't call for help. She was alone, injured, and the dragons were unable to defend her. The realization hit hard, but instead of despair, Lyra felt determination. She might be small and vulnerable, but she had intelligence, courage, and knowledge of the colony systems. She could survive if she stayed calm and thought clearly. The alien drones moved closer, their sensors scanning for life signs. Lyra ducked behind a metal beam, holding perfectly still. Her pulse slowed, and she analyzed the drone's movement patterns. They followed predictable paths and reacted to sudden sounds. Using this, she could plan a path that avoided detection. Humans were clever, capable of finding solutions in situations where others saw only danger. She began crawling slowly, using debris and shadows to shield herself. She moved toward a side exit she knew of, a narrow passage leading to the upper levels. It was risky. If a drone spotted her, she would be dead instantly, but she had no choice. Every second wasted increased the alien's advantage. She adjusted her breathing, measured each movement, and advanced. Suddenly, an alien scout moved directly toward her. Lyra froze, her mind racing. She spotted a small stack of metal crates nearby. With careful precision, she knocked one over, creating a loud clatter in a different direction. The drone sensors immediately reacted, and it changed course to investigate. Lyra exhaled slowly, grateful for the small distraction. She continued moving, each step deliberate, using her knowledge, instincts, and quick thinking to survive. She reached the narrow passage leading upward. Looking back, she saw the plaza in chaos. Fires burned, smoke rose, and the dragon struggled against overwhelming odds. One of the fallen dragons groaned again, its wings broken. Lyra's heart ached, but she forced herself to focus. Survival depended on clear thinking, adaptability, and courage. Humans might not be as strong as dragons or aliens, but they could outthink both when necessary. As she climbed the narrow stairwell, she noticed a faint glow from her scanner. A distress signal had been triggered, a backup system designed for emergencies. She tapped into it, hoping it could reach someone, anyone, who could help. She knew the colony's defenses were damaged, but even a faint signal might draw attention. She sent the message, knowing it was a small chance, but every human survival story began with small steps, small actions. When she reached the top level, she found temporary shelter behind a reinforced door. She pressed herself against it, listening. The aliens continued their assault below, unaware of her presence. She took a moment to tend her injuries as best she could, using bandages from her kit and applying pressure to slow the bleeding. Pain shot through her, but she ignored it. Focus, intelligence, and determination were stronger than pain. Through the cracks of the broken ceiling, she could see the sky filled with alien ships and dragons in combat. One dragon had managed to rise again, trying to protect other humans, but it was clear they were losing. She swallowed hard, her mind racing. The dragons had fought valiantly, but they could not save everyone. She realized that if she survived, it would be because of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, not strength or firepower. Just when she thought all hope was lost, her scanner picked up something unusual, a faint signal approaching from outside the planet. It was unlike any alien technology she had seen, almost human. The thought gave her a spark of hope. Perhaps help was coming. Perhaps humans were not yet defeated. Lyra pressed her back against the wall, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and cautious optimism. She knew that the coming moments would be critical. She was trapped, injured, and alone, but she had something the aliens could not understand, a mind capable of strategy, observation, and quick thinking. The dragons had fought bravely, but humans had something else, something unexpected, something that could turn the tide. Lyra whispered to herself, "They think this is over. They have no idea what humans are capable of." The roar of dragons and the hum of alien ships filled the air, but in that moment, she felt a strange clarity. Survival depended on intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Humans might be small, fragile, and underestimated, but they could endure, and sometimes that was enough to change everything. She tightened her grip on her tools and prepared for the next step. The aliens had attacked. The dragons had failed to save her, and the colony was in chaos. But something was coming, something unexpected, and she, a human, was ready to survive. Lyra pressed herself against the metal wall, breathing hard. The screams from the plaza below had faded into distant echoes, replaced by the hum of alien drones scanning for survivors. She looked around the upper corridor of the research wing. Debris littered the floor, sparks flew from exposed wires, and emergency lights flickered weakly. Every step she took could alert the aliens, yet staying still meant running out of options. Her side ached where she had hit the ground earlier. Blood had soaked through her shirt, and each movement reminded her of her injuries. But fear would not help her. Humans had always survived impossible situations by thinking, planning, and acting despite the odds. Lyra focused on breathing, slowing her pulse, and analyzing her surroundings. Every human life depended on intelligence and observation, and she had both. She crawled carefully toward a half-collapsed doorway, scanning for movement. The drones moved in patterns, precise but predictable. Lyra noticed that they paused for a brief moment before turning or scanning a new area. Using these micro-pauses, she advanced slowly, ducking behind beams and slabs of concrete. Every movement was deliberate. Every choice mattered. A sudden clang made her freeze. A small piece of debris had shifted under her weight. One drone hovered above, its sensors glowing bright blue as it swept the corridor. Lyra held her breath and flattened herself against the wall. The drone's gaze lingered for a tense second before it moved on. She exhaled slowly, realizing how close she had come to being detected. Humans might be smaller than dragons or aliens, but they had one advantage: the ability to stay calm and think under pressure. She reached a partially intact control room and ducked inside. Screens flickered with static, but a few panels still worked. Lyra tapped into the system, tried to assess the colony's remaining defenses. Most were offline, but a small backup system remained active, a security drone hidden deep in the lower levels. It might not be enough to fight the aliens, but it could buy her time. Every small advantage mattered. Lyra grabbed a wrench from a tool rack and tested a door that had jammed. It moved with a groan, revealing a narrow stairwell leading downward. The lower levels could be dangerous, but they might provide cover. She could hide, plan, and wait for an opportunity. She adjusted her backpack, checking her medical kit and tools. Humans survive by preparation, adaptability, and clever thinking. She had all three. She began her descent, careful to avoid making noise. The stairwell shook occasionally from explosions above. Debris fell, dust choked the air, but Lyra pressed on. She noticed markings on the walls, previous human paths, emergency instructions, and graffiti left by engineers. Following these clues could guide her safely through the wreckage. Humans had always survived by learning from their environment, reading signs others overlooked. Halfway down, she heard a faint whine of a drone sensors nearby. She froze, calculating. The corridor to her left was blocked by rubble, but a ventilation shaft ran parallel to the stairwell. She could squeeze through, but it was risky. If she got stuck, the aliens could find her. Lyra took a deep breath and decided. Humans often survive by taking calculated risks when hesitation meant failure. She removed her pack, slid into the shaft, and crawled silently. The space was tight, and her side ached from the climb. Dust choked her lungs, but she kept moving. The ventilation system creaked under her weight. A drone passed below, unaware of her position, and she let out a quiet sigh of relief. She emerged into a lower storage room filled with crates and broken machinery. It was dark, but the shadows offered cover. Lyra examined the room carefully. She spotted supplies, emergency rations, water, and a few energy packs. She also noticed alien footprints in the dust, evidence that they had searched this area but missed her. Humans survive by noticing details that others overlooked, and this small observation gave her hope. She quickly patched her wound with materials from her kit, using bandages and a pain suppressor. Every bit of care counted. As she rested briefly, she considered her situation. The dragons had fought bravely, but they could not save everyone. The aliens had superior firepower, advanced technology, and relentless tactics. Yet humans had something unique: intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. Lyra realized that survival depended not on strength, but on outthinking her enemies and using every resource at her disposal. She moved cautiously to a small observation hatch in the storage room. From here, she could see a section of the plaza below. The aliens were reorganizing, scanning systematically for survivors. Lyra noted their patterns: slow sweeps, pauses, and blind spots caused by debris or shadows. If she moved at the right moment, she could slip past them or create a distraction to buy more time. Every human instinct, every careful observation, was a tool for survival. She noticed a small drone hovering near an entrance. Lyra grabbed a metal rod from the floor and tossed it lightly to the far corner of the room. The drone followed the noise, giving her a window of opportunity. Humans survived because they could manipulate situations, use the environment, and act with precision when others assumed they would panic. She used the moment to slip quietly through a side passage that led toward the communication hub. The hub had been partially destroyed, but she hoped some systems remained online. She needed a way to alert anyone who could come to help. Even a faint signal could make the difference between life and death. Lyra ducked behind a console and connected her portable interface. Sparks flew from exposed wires, but she worked quickly, rerouting power and amplifying the remaining signal. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the doorway. A small alien drone had detected her movement. Lyra froze, then quickly pulled a loose cable, tripping the sensor and causing the drone to spin away from her. Humans often survive by thinking quickly and improvising under pressure. She pressed on, feeling a small surge of confidence. Intelligence, patience, and creativity were her weapons. Hours passed as she navigated through the ruined corridors. She avoided open spaces, watched the aliens' patterns, and carefully marked safe paths with small scratches on the walls. Every step was cautious, deliberate, and informed by observation. Humans were smaller, weaker, and less armed than the aliens, but their minds could turn vulnerability into advantage. By evening, Lyra found a secure room with reinforced walls. She could rest, patch her wounds further, and plan the next move. From here, she could watch the plaza through a small viewport. The dragons were scattered, injured, or retreating. The aliens continued their search, unaware of her presence. Lyra felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. Humans had survived in countless impossible situations by using intelligence, courage, and adaptability. She intended to do the same. Her scanner buzzed faintly, picking up an unusual signal. She examined it carefully. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but definitely not alien. Someone or something was approaching. Hope flickered in her chest. The dragons had failed to save her. The aliens dominated the plaza, but humans had something the attackers did not anticipate: resourcefulness, patience, and the ability to turn desperate situations into opportunities. Lyra whispered to herself, "I'm not finished yet. Humans survive. We adapt. We endure." She prepared to move again, knowing that the coming hours would test her intelligence, courage, and resilience. The aliens had assumed victory, but humans were unpredictable. She was small, vulnerable, and trapped, but she was also clever, resourceful, and determined, and that made all the difference. Lyra pressed herself behind the reinforced wall, listening to the hum of alien drones sweeping the corridors. She had survived so far by using her intelligence, patience, and careful observation. Every step she took had been deliberate. Every choice counted. But she knew she could not escape alone. The aliens were too numerous, and her injuries made her slower. She needed help, and fast. A faint glow appeared at the end of the corridor. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. At first, she thought it was another drone, but the light moved differently, slow, deliberate, and almost cautious. She squinted through the darkness and saw a figure emerging from the shadows. It was small, human-like, but something was different. Its movements were precise, almost mechanical, yet fluid. The glow came from a visor that covered its eyes, and faint energy lines traced its limbs. "Who's there?" Lyra whispered, keeping her voice low. The figure paused and raised a hand, palm open, in a gesture of peace. There was no aggression, only intelligence. Lyra's mind raced. Could this be another human, or something else entirely? She had never seen technology like this in the colony. The figure moved closer, carefully avoiding the debris and shadows. Lyra noticed a small pack on its back, likely filled with tools or supplies. The movements were deliberate, almost silent, as if it had been trained for stealth. Her instincts told her that this was someone or something that could help her. But could she trust it? Trust was risky, but without allies, she would not survive. Slowly, she stepped out from her hiding place. "I'm Lyra Vale," she said. "Who or what are you?" The figure tilted its head slightly, as if analyzing her. Then, in a calm, synthetic voice, replied, "I am Kai. I am programmed to assist humans. I detected your distress signal." Lyra's eyes widened. A human ally? Not exactly human, but something enhanced, something unexpected. She had survived because of intelligence and strategy, but this Kai could multiply her chances exponentially. "Can you help me get out of here?" she asked. Kai nodded. "Yes, but we must move carefully. Aliens are still scanning this area. Your movements must be precise." Lyra felt a surge of hope. For days, she had survived alone, outthinking the aliens, using every ounce of human ingenuity. Now, she had a partner, one that could match her intelligence and act faster than she could. They began moving together through the corridors. Lyra showed Kai the safer paths she had discovered, and Kai analyzed the drone's movements with precision. predicting their patrols and blind spots. Humans were clever, yes, but this ally combined human strategy with enhanced perception, making them nearly unstoppable. Lyra felt a strange mix of relief and admiration. At one junction, a drone hovered directly in their path. Lyra froze, her pulse quickening. Kai raised a hand, and a small device emitted a low pulse. The drone sensors flickered, and it moved away, confused. Lyra realized that Kai's enhancements were not just physical. They could manipulate alien technology in ways she could only imagine. Humans had survived through intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. Kai's abilities were an extension of that same principle, amplified. They reached a collapsed section of the corridor. The debris was too heavy for Lyra to move alone, but Kai assessed it quickly and activated a small tool from the pack. Energy lines glowed and a portion of the debris shifted, creating a narrow passage. Lyra crawled through, feeling her confidence grow. With Kai, she could navigate areas that had been impossible before. As they moved, Lyra asked, "Where did you come from? Why are you here?" Kai's voice was calm and deliberate. "I am part of a program designed to assist humans in extreme danger zones. My sensors detected your life signs and distress signals. I was deployed to ensure your survival." Lyra nodded slowly, realizing that even the aliens had not anticipated humans having such allies. Intelligence and adaptability, again, were the keys. They entered a large observation room. From the broken windows, Lyra could see the aliens reorganizing below, preparing for a new sweep. Dragons were still engaged in battle, but many had been injured or retreated. Lyra felt a pang of sorrow, remembering the dragon that had tried to save her. But now, with Kai by her side, she had a new hope. Humans had survived harsh environments on countless worlds by thinking, learning, and using every available resource. This was no different. Kai extended a small device toward a console. Lyra watched as energy flowed from the device into the system, bypassing damaged circuits and activating a faint backup signal. They could communicate with other human survivors. They could call for reinforcements. Humans had always survived because they adapted faster than any opponent anticipated, and now Lyra and Kai were proving it once again. A sudden alert flashed on one of the screens. The aliens had detected unusual energy fluctuations. Drones began moving toward the observation room. Lyra's pulse quickened, but Kai assessed the situation instantly. "We have one chance." "Follow my lead exactly," Kai instructed. Humans had survived through strategy, observation, and quick decision-making. Lyra trusted her instincts and Kai's calculations completely. Kai activated a small array of devices that emitted pulses, creating temporary interference with the alien sensors. The drones paused, scanning but unable to locate them precisely. Lyra moved carefully, following the exact steps Kai had mapped out. Every movement had to be precise, every breath controlled. Humans survived because they could turn small advantages into opportunities, and this moment was proof. They reached a stairwell leading to a higher section of the colony. Lyra could see the alien ships hovering above, their energy beams scanning for survivors. The dragons were scattered but alive, some moving instinctively toward the noises and energy pulses Kai created. Humans had survived harsh conditions not by raw strength, but by using intelligence and resourcefulness to manipulate their environment. Lyra realized that the dragons, Kai, and she herself could form a combined force the aliens could not predict. As they ascended, Kai analyzed the aliens' movement patterns in real time, guiding Lyra through blind spots and safe paths. "There's a small extraction point ahead," Kai said. "It may be your best chance to escape." Lyra's heart lifted. Survival was no longer just about hiding. It was about using strategy, intelligence, and adaptability, the very qualities that define humans. Finally, they reached the extraction point, a small platform with access to the colony's emergency transport system. Drones patrolled nearby, but Kai calculated timing perfectly. "Now," Kai whispered. They moved quickly, slipping past sensors and drones with careful coordination. Lyra felt a rush of triumph. They were small, vulnerable, and surrounded by enemies, yet human intelligence and ingenuity, combined with Kai's enhancements, made them unstoppable. From the platform, they could see the night sky filled with alien ships and distant dragons. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling a mix of relief and determination. The dragons had fought bravely, but the true survival story was just beginning. Humans had endured, adapted, and survived impossible odds before, and now she was proving it again. Kai turned to her. "We must keep moving. Safety is within reach, but only if we remain careful." Lyra nodded. She understood that survival was not guaranteed, but humans had an advantage the aliens could never predict: intelligence, adaptability, and courage under pressure. As they activated the emergency transport and prepared to leave, Lyra whispered to herself, "They thought I was helpless. They were wrong. Humans survive. We endure. We adapt." With Kai by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. The battle was far from over, but the combination of human ingenuity and unexpected allies had shifted the odds in their favor. Lyra and Kai emerged from the emergency transport, landing on a ledge overlooking the colony's main plaza. Fires still burned across the buildings, and alien drones patrolled in systematic patterns. The dragons, though fewer now, circled above cautiously, their wings scarred and tired. The aliens had assumed they had complete control, that the humans were scattered, weak, and vulnerable. They were wrong. Lyra crouched beside Kai, examining the plaza below. The humans who had survived were hiding in small pockets, trapped and injured. The aliens' energy shields and scanners made a direct attack impossible, but Lyra had an idea. Humans survived impossible situations by thinking, improvising, and using intelligence rather than strength. If she could manipulate the environment and coordinate the survivors, they could create a chance to strike back. Kai extended a small interface from its arm. "I can disable a portion of the alien scanners temporarily," it said. "It will create an opening." Lyra nodded. The human strategy was simple: disruption, distraction, and precise action. Strength alone could not win this fight, but human ingenuity could. She felt a surge of determination. Together, they activated the device. Energy pulses ran through the plaza, and the alien sensors flickered. Drones paused, confused, while some dragons swooped low, sensing the change. Lyra signaled to the nearby survivors, using hand gestures she had practiced before. A few of them moved cautiously toward cover, ready to assist. Humans were small, yes, but they could coordinate quickly and think faster than the aliens expected. The first wave of human survivors moved, carrying tools, small explosives, and energy disruptors they had salvaged. Lyra directed them from her position, combining her knowledge of the colony's layout with Kai's calculations. The aliens began to notice a disturbance, but they were too late to respond effectively. Humans had learned long ago how to turn chaos into opportunity, and that principle was proving true again. Lyra spotted a section of alien drones hovering near the main energy generator. "If we can disable that generator, their scanners will fail completely for several minutes," she whispered to Kai. Kai nodded, analyzing the risk and the timing. "It is possible, but it will require precision and coordination." Lyra smiled faintly. Humans thrived on precision and creativity in the face of danger. She organized a small team of survivors to move toward the generator. Using shadows, debris, and temporary energy pulses from Kai, they crept through the plaza. Lyra noticed how the dragons responded instinctively, moving to protect the humans and drawing attention away from their movements. It was a perfect combination: human ingenuity, allied technology, and natural instincts working together. The aliens had expected chaos, but not strategy. As the humans reached the generator, Lyra and Kai activated small devices that interfered with the alien shields. The generator sparked and flickered, then exploded in a controlled chain reaction. The energy field above the plaza collapsed temporarily, giving the humans a critical window. Lyra felt a rush of triumph. Humans had survived by thinking, adapting, and improvising, and this was a clear demonstration of those abilities. The aliens reacted immediately, sending more drones and small assault vehicles toward the humans. Lyra held her position, analyzing the patterns. She realized that direct confrontation was still dangerous. Humans survived not by brute force, but by observation, intelligence, and timing. Using quick hand signals and subtle gestures, she directed the dragons to create chaos, swooping low and forcing the aliens to scatter their focus. Kai extended a device that projected holographic decoys, mimicking the movement of humans in different areas of the plaza. The aliens were distracted further, their attention divided between real and false targets. Lyra smiled. Humans had always been able to outthink opponents who relied on power rather than intelligence. This was exactly what made them formidable. Lyra moved forward with a small group, using confusion to rescue trapped humans. She helped lift debris, guided the injured, and coordinated movements so no one was exposed to alien fire. Even though they were small and vulnerable, their combined intelligence and careful planning allowed them to survive in the face of overwhelming odds. Humans had always found ways to turn disadvantage into advantage. The dragons now began working more strategically, responding to subtle signals from Lyra and Kai. They guided humans safely through exposed areas and disrupted alien patrols without getting caught. The aliens had never expected that humans could influence creatures they thought uncontrollable. Lyra realized that human ingenuity extended beyond technology. It included understanding, observation, and the ability to inspire cooperation with other beings. Lyra noticed one alien command unit near the center of the plaza, directing the drones. "If we take out that control center, their coordination will collapse," she said to Kai. Kai analyzed the risks. "It will be dangerous, but the humans and dragons can succeed if we time it correctly." Lyra nodded. Humans had survived countless wars, disasters, and attacks because they could plan, adapt, and act decisively when opportunity presented itself. Using the combined efforts of survivors, dragons, and Kai, Lyra led a precise strike on the command unit. Small explosives disabled key systems, while energy pulses disrupted the alien sensors. The drones began to falter, their movements chaotic and uncoordinated. Lyra watched, heart pounding, as the aliens' advantage slipped away. Humans had small bodies, yes, but their minds were sharp, adaptable, and unpredictable. The aliens, realizing their control was failing, began to retreat. Ships pulled back, drones scattered, and the few remaining patrols were no match for the combined intelligence and strategy of humans and dragons. Lyra's team moved quickly to secure the area and help survivors. What had seemed impossible was now within their reach. Humans survived because they could think, act, and coordinate in ways others could not predict. Lyra looked around at the plaza. Fires still burned, but the aliens' presence was weakening. The dragons circled, alert but calm, responding to her subtle gestures. Survivors helped each other, guided by human leadership and quick thinking. Humans had taken what seemed like defeat and turned it into opportunity. The aliens had underestimated them, just as they had underestimated humans countless times before. Kai turned to her. "The tide has shifted. The aliens will retreat if we maintain pressure." Lyra nodded. "Yes, humans survive by adapting, learning, and outthinking stronger opponents. We just proved it." She felt a surge of pride. The dragons had fought bravely, but it was human strategy, intelligence, and courage that had turned the tide. As night fell, Lyra and Kai organized the survivors, setting up defenses and restoring communication systems. The aliens had underestimated human ingenuity and adaptability. Lyra knew the battle was not entirely over, but the advantage had shifted. Humans could survive impossible situations because they were unpredictable, intelligent, and resourceful. She whispered to herself, "They thought they had won. They were wrong. Humans always find a way." The dragons roared in the distance, circling protectively. Lyra smiled, knowing that humans had survived once again by using intelligence, observation, and courage. The battle had turned, and the aliens were no longer in control. From that moment, the survivors worked together under Lyra's guidance. The combination of human strategy, dragon instinct, and Kai's enhancements ensured that the aliens could not easily regroup. Lyra realized the truth of human resilience. No matter the odds, humans could adapt, coordinate, and triumph. Strength alone could not defeat intelligence, creativity, and courage. The plaza, once chaotic and dangerous, was now under careful human control. Drones that had been attacking were disabled or retreating. Survivors moved safely through the area, aided by dragons and guided by Lyra's precise instructions. Humans were small and vulnerable, but their ability to adapt, plan, and act decisively had turned what seemed like a hopeless situation into the beginning of victory. As Lyra watched the aliens retreat, She felt a quiet sense of triumph. Humans had survived attacks, outthought superior forces, and turned despair into opportunity. The dragons had fought bravely, but it was human ingenuity and leadership that had truly turned the tide. She knew that no matter what came next, humans would endure, adapt, and prevail. The plaza was quiet now, except for crackling of small fires and the low hum of damaged machinery. The aliens had retreated, their drones scattered and confused. Lyra Vale stood on a raised platform, looking out over the area. The dragons circled above, injured but alert, their eyes following her movements. Humans had survived because of intelligence, strategy, and courage, not raw strength, and this victory was proof. Lyra moved among the survivors, checking on injuries and offering reassurance. Many were frightened, exhausted, and unsure what to do next. She encouraged them, using clear instructions and careful planning. Humans thrived not just through survival instincts, but through leadership and coordination. Even small groups could achieve great things when everyone worked together and followed careful strategies. Kai hovered beside her, its sensors scanning for any remaining threats. "The aliens may regroup," it said. "We should prepare defenses." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but we are not helpless. Humans survive by adapting and thinking ahead. We can anticipate their moves." She had spent hours observing patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. Humans could outthink opponents that relied only on power or technology. Together, Lyra and Kai organized the survivors into teams. Some repaired damaged structures, others gathered supplies, and a few coordinated with the dragons to monitor the skies. The human strategy was simple but effective: observation, adaptation, and action. Even the dragons, instinctive and strong, responded to human guidance. Intelligence and planning gave them a new edge that the aliens had never expected. Lyra walked to the edge of the plaza, where a few alien drones still patrolled. She studied their movements carefully, noting their patterns and blind spots. Humans survive by noticing details that others overlooked, by thinking faster, and by improvising solutions in real time. Using a series of energy pulses and carefully timed distractions, she and Kai disabled the remaining drones without a single human being harmed. As the last drone fell silent, a cheer rose among the survivors. Lyra smiled faintly. Strength had failed against humans before, but intelligence and courage had never failed. The dragons landed nearby, observing the humans with quiet curiosity. Lyra reached out a hand, and one of the dragons lowered its head slightly, acknowledging their partnership. Humans could survive even when everything seemed lost, and now they had allies in unexpected forms. The colony was damaged, but it was not destroyed. Lyra organized teams to restore communications, repair critical systems, and gather supplies. She realized that survival was not only about escaping danger, it was about taking control after the chaos, rebuilding and planning for the future. Humans had always adapted, rebuilt, and thrived after disasters. This was another example of that resilience. As night fell, the sky was filled with the glowing ships of the retreating aliens. Lyra knew they might return, but humans were ready. She and Kai had studied the patterns, strengthened defenses, and taught the survivors how to act together. Humans survived because they could learn, adapt, and respond faster than any opponent expected. The aliens had underestimated that. Lyra paused, looking at Kai. "We've done well," she said softly. "But humans always have to be ready. We survive by thinking, planning, and staying clever." Kai's sensors pulsed in agreement. The partnership of human ingenuity and advanced technology had turned a desperate situation into a controlled victory. Humans were small and fragile, but they were clever, resourceful, and unpredictable. She walked to the plaza, helping survivors, guiding dragons, and checking the repaired systems. Every human she encountered showed determination, courage, and the ability to follow strategy. Humans were often underestimated by stronger, faster, or more powerful opponents, but their intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork allowed them to prevail. Lyra understood that this was the true reason humans survived when all seemed lost. The alien ships were gone for now, and the dragons perched on the buildings, watching the horizon. Lyra and Kai had coordinated the human response so effectively that any returning alien force would face a fully prepared colony. Humans survived by anticipating threats, using intelligence to exploit weaknesses, and combining the strength of allies and tools in ways that enemies could not predict. In the quiet that followed, Lyra reflected on what had happened. The dragons had tried to protect her, but they could not succeed alone. The aliens had assumed victory, believing humans weak and helpless. But humans survived because they were clever, adaptable, and willing to take risks when necessary. Her own quick thinking, coupled with Kai's enhancements in the dragon's instinct, had saved the day. Lyra gathered the survivors for a final meeting of the day. "We are small, yes," she said, "but humans have something the aliens do not. We think, we plan, we adapt, and we never give up. Today, we survived because we worked together, stayed smart, and used every advantage we could find. Remember that. It is why humans triumph when others expect us to fail." The survivors nodded, inspired by her words and the events they had lived through. Kai scanned the perimeter one last time. "No immediate threats detected," it said. Lyra smiled. "Then we rest. Tomorrow we rebuild. Humans always rebuild." She looked at the dragons, injured but loyal, and gave them a quiet nod. Even creatures of strength and instinct could recognize human leadership, intelligence, and courage. Humans survived because they combined brains with bravery, and no alien had ever truly predicted that. As the stars appeared above the colony, Lyra allowed herself a moment of relief. The aliens had underestimated her and her species. Humans were small, yes, but their minds were sharp, adaptable, and capable of extraordinary strategy. Every move she had made, every choice under pressure, had contributed to survival. Intelligence, creativity, and courage had won where strength alone could not. She looked out over the recovering colony, the survivors working quietly but purposefully. Humans had endured, adapted, and turned what seemed like defeat into victory. The dragons, once protectors, had now become allies in a larger plan. And Kai, unexpected as it had been, proved that human ingenuity could expand into forms even the aliens could not predict. Lyra whispered to herself, "We survive, we adapt, we endure, and we triumph." The quiet roar of the dragons echoed behind her. The hum of repair machinery filled the air, and the stars shone bright above. Humans had faced impossible odds, faced superior forces, and survived because they could think, strategize, and act. That was the true strength of her species. She stood tall, bruised and exhausted, but unbroken. Today, the aliens had been defeated not by strength, but by intelligence. Today, humans had survived and triumphed. Tomorrow, they would rebuild. And no matter what challenges came next, humans would endure, adapt, and prove, again and again, that they were more capable than anyone, alien or dragon, had ever imagined.